Ethan Caldwell stood alone in the sleek bathroom of his private jet, his reflection staring back from the polished mirror. At 45, he was a titan of New York's real estate world, his name etched on skyscrapers that pierced the city's skyline. His sandy blonde hair, lightly streaked with gray, was combed with precision, and his tailored navy suit hugged his lean, athletic frame. Yet, as he adjusted the knot of his silk tie, his blue eyes betrayed a hollowness, a quiet ache that no wealth could soothe. He splashed cold water on his face, the chill grounding him. Today was not a day for distractions. In 20 minutes, the jet would land at JFK International Airport. Ethan was en route to close a $3 billion deal to redevelop Brooklyn's waterfront, a project that would cement his legacy as one of the city's most visionary developers. The deal had consumed him for months, late nights poring over blueprints, tense negotiations with investors, and strategic moves to outmaneuver rivals. Success was within reach, but its weight felt heavier than it should. He dried his hands on a monogrammed towel and stepped back into the cabin, where the hum of the engines mingled with the soft clink of his assistant's typing. "Mr. Caldwell, we'll be landing soon," Laura Bennett called from her seat, her tablet glowing with schedules and emails. A sharp, efficient woman in her 30s, Laura had been with Ethan for a decade, managing the chaos of his empire with unwavering precision. "The board is expecting you at the plaza by noon. I've confirmed with Mr. Rosenberg that the contracts are ready for your review." Ethan nodded, settling into a leather chair that smelled faintly of polish. "Good." He asked for any word from Pierce's team, referring to Nathan Pierce, his longtime rival. Nathan, a cunning developer with a chip on his shoulder, had circled the Brooklyn project like a vulture, ready to exploit any misstep. Laura's fingers paused on her tablet. "They submitted a counteroffer last night, lower than ours, but with fewer regulatory hurdles. Rosenberg thinks they're bluffing, but he's nervous." Ethan's jaw tightened. Nathan's games were nothing new. Years ago, Ethan outbid him on a pivotal Manhattan contract, a loss Nathan had never forgiven. The rivalry had grown personal, fueled by Nathan's relentless ambition and Ethan's quiet resolve. "Let them play their hand," Ethan said coolly. "We've got the stronger position." Laura returned to her work, and Ethan gazed out the window at the clouds below, their edges gilded by the morning sun. His unbidden mind drifted to a place it often went when he let his guard down. Amara Johnson, his ex-wife. 7 years ago, they had met at a charity gala in Midtown, an event glittering with New York's elite. Amara, a Black American artist and teacher, had stood out in a sea of sequins and self-importance. Her warm brown eyes sparkled with defiance as she challenged Ethan about the lack of art programs in Brooklyn's public schools. She wasn't dazzled by his wealth or status. Unlike everyone else in the room, she saw the man beneath the tycoon. Their connection was electric, a spark that defied the whispers of Manhattan's high society. Amara brought color to Ethan's monochrome world with her quick laugh and unyielding principles. Their courtship was a whirlwind, late-night talks in her cramped Brooklyn studio, weekends exploring hidden jazz clubs, moments where Ethan felt truly alive. They married 6 months later in a small ceremony, ignoring the raised eyebrows and pointed comments from his mother, Vivian Caldwell, and her old money circle. The tabloids had feasted on the story, a white billionaire and a black artist from Bed-Stuy. But Ethan hadn't cared. For the first time, he had found someone who saw him, not his bank account. The first 2 years were a dream. Amara's paintings hung in their penthouse, vibrant bursts of color against sleek marble walls. But the cracks appeared slowly. The constant scrutiny of their interracial marriage, the subtle slights at galas, the pressure of Ethan's demanding career, it all began to wear on Amara. She retreated, her smile fading under the weight of a world that judged her at every turn. 5 years ago, she left, leaving only a note on their kitchen counter. "I must find myself. I'm sorry." Ethan had searched for her and hired investigators, but Amara had vanished, leaving a void he couldn't fill. He rubbed his temple, pushing the memories away. Today was about the Brooklyn deal, a chance to reshape the city and silence the doubts that lingered in his mind. He couldn't afford to dwell on the past, not when billions were on the line. Yet, as the jet descended, a strange unease settled in his chest, as if the universe conspired to upend his carefully ordered life. "Sir, we're preparing to land," Laura said, snapping him back to the present. "The car will be waiting at the private terminal." Ethan fastened his seatbelt, his reflection now obscured by the window's glare. Below, New York sprawled in all its chaotic glory, a city he had conquered but never truly understood. He thought of Amara's note. Her looping handwriting burned into his memory. What had she needed to find? And why had she never returned? The questions lingered, unanswered, as the jet's wheels touched down with a gentle thud. The cabin door opened, and a rush of cool air greeted him. Ethan stood, smoothing his jacket, ready to step into the fray of boardrooms and power plays. But deep down, he knew something was coming that would challenge everything he thought he valued. As he descended the steps onto the tarmac, the weight of his empire felt heavier than ever, and the emptiness within him whispered that no deal, no matter how grand, could fill the space Amara had left behind. The private terminal at JFK buzzed with the quiet efficiency of wealth. Porters gliding with luggage, a sleek black car idling outside, and Laura's tablet chiming with urgent notifications. Ethan Caldwell strode toward the exit, his polished shoes clicking against the marble floor, his mind fixed on the $3 billion Brooklyn deal. The board meeting was in less than an hour, and Nathan Pierce's counteroffer loomed like a storm cloud. Laura trailed him, reciting updates. "Rosenberg's team is pushing for a preemptive clause, but Pierce's people are—" She stopped mid-sentence as Ethan froze, his gaze locked on the main terminal beyond the glass wall. There, amid the chaos of travelers, stood Amara Johnson. Her presence was a jolt, as if the world had tilted off its axis. Her long braids were swept into an elegant bun, and her yellow sundress glowed against the dull airport lights, accentuating her graceful figure. But it wasn't her beauty that stopped Ethan's heart. The two small boys at her side, each clutching one of her hands. They were about 4 years old, their caramel skin catching the light, their curly hair framing faces that mirrored his own. Their blue eyes, his eyes, sparkled with curiosity as they pointed at a plane through the window. Ethan's knees buckled, his briefcase slipping from his hand to the floor with a soft thud. "Sir?" Laura's voice was distant, urgent. "The car's waiting. We're cutting it close for the meeting." Ethan couldn't move. His pulse roared in his ears, drowning out the airport's hum. The boy's features were unmistakable. His sharp cheekbones, his furrowed brow when deep in thought. They were his, unmistakably his. Amara knelt to tie one boy's shoelace, her movements tender, while the other bounced excitedly, tugging her arm. Ethan's mind raced back to her note, 5 years old and worn in his memory. "I need to find myself." Had she been pregnant then? Had she carried his children, his sons, and never told him? "Cancel the meeting," Ethan said, his voice low but firm, cutting through Laura's protests. "Cancel everything." "But sir, the Brooklyn deal. Pierce is all ready." "I said cancel it." His tone left no room for argument. Laura blinked, stunned, but nodded, tapping furiously at her tablet. Ethan's legs moved before his mind caught up. carrying him through the glass doors into the main terminal. The crowd parted as he approached Amara, his heart pounding with each step. She stood, brushing a braid from her face, and their eyes met across the bustling space. Shock flashed across her features, followed by a flicker of fear. She tightened her grip on the boy's hands, turning as if to hurry them away. "Amara!" Ethan's voice carried over the din, raw with emotion. She froze, her shoulders stiff, then slowly turned back. The boys peered up at him, their wide eyes studying his face with innocent curiosity. One had a smudge of dirt on his cheek. The other clutched a toy plane. Ethan's throat tightened. They were the spitting image of him as a child, down to how they tilted their heads. "Hello, Ethan," Amara said softly, her voice a melody that still stirred him after all these years. Her eyes, warm but guarded, searched his face, as if bracing for what came next. "Were you ever going to tell me?" he asked, his voice rough with a mix of hurt and wonder. He gestured to the boys, who watched the exchange, sensing its weight. "Are they?" Amara's gaze dropped to the floor, her hands trembling slightly. Tears glistened in her eyes as she nodded. "I wanted to. So many times." Her voice cracked, barely above a whisper, but I didn't know how. The truth hit Ethan like a physical blow. She had been pregnant when she left, carrying his sons, and he'd had no idea. 5 years of first steps, words, and laughs were stolen from him. He wanted to be angry, to demand answers, but the sight of the boys softened his edges. They were here, real, and they were his. "Mommy, who's this man?" the boy with the toy plane asked, tugging at Amara's dress. His brother, still holding her hand, tilted his head, mirroring Ethan's thoughtful expression. Ethan crouched to their level, his suit creasing, his heart racing. "I'm someone who wants to know you," he said gently, unsure how to bridge the chasm of years. Their eyes, his eyes, held his gaze, full of questions. "Sir, we need to," Laura began, appearing at his side, but Ethan waved her off without looking. "We need to talk," he said to Amara, his tone firm but not unkind. "Now." Amara hesitated, glancing around the crowded terminal as if searching for an escape, but the boys' curious stares anchored her. She nodded slowly. "Okay, there's a cafe here." The boys loved their ice cream. Ethan followed as Amara led the boys to a small airport cafe, its fluorescent lights casting a soft glow. The boys chattered about planes, oblivious to the storm between their parents. Amara ordered chocolate sundaes, and Ethan watched, memorizing every detail. The way the boy with the plane, Isaiah, Amara called him, grinned with a missing tooth. The way Isaac, his brother, carefully scooped his ice cream, brow furrowed like Ethan's during a deal. They sat at a corner table, the boys slurping happily, while Ethan and Amara faced each other across a divide of 5 years. "Why didn't you tell me?" Ethan asked, keeping his voice low to shield the boys. "You knew where I was. You knew I'd want to know." Amara's fingers tightened around her coffee cup. "It wasn't that simple, Ethan. Your world, your mother, the galas, the whispers, suffocated me. When I found out I was pregnant, I panicked. I couldn't raise them in that." "So you raised them alone?" His voice wavered, caught between anger and awe. "You kept my sons from me?" "They know about you," Amara said quietly. "I told them their daddy builds significant buildings, that he's busy but loves them. I showed them pictures. I never wanted them to feel unloved." Ethan's chest ached. He looked at Isaiah, who giggled as Isaac smeared ice cream on his nose. "What are their names?" he asked, needing to anchor himself in their reality. "Isaiah and Isaac," Amara said, her voice softening. "They're 4. Isaiah loves planes. Isaac's obsessed with drawing. Ethan repeated the names silently, letting them settle in his heart. He wanted to know everything, their favorite foods, fears, and dreams. But the weight of the missed years pressed down. He said, I want to be their father, meeting Amara's eyes. Not just a story, a birth father. Amara's gaze flickered with fear and hope. It's not just about you and me anymore, Ethan. It's about them and your world. It's already starting. She nodded toward a man in the corner, his phone angled subtly toward them. A reporter, Ethan realized, his stomach sinking. Isaiah looked up, ice cream on his chin. Are you going to stay with us? He asked, his voice small but hopeful. Ethan's throat tightened. He reached out, hesitating, then ruffled Isaiah's curls. I'm not going anywhere, buddy, he promised, the words binding him to a future he hadn't planned. As the boys returned to their Sundays, Ethan knew nothing. Not the Brooklyn deal, Nathan Pierce, or his empire, mattered as much as the two small faces across the table. The world outside the cafe could wait. Ethan felt alive for the first time in years, and he wouldn't let that go. The Brooklyn brownstone stood like a quiet sentinel on a tree-lined street, its weathered brick facade softened by flower boxes bursting with marigolds. Inside, Amara Johnson led Ethan Caldwell through the narrow hallway, her steps hesitant, as if each one risked reopening old wounds. The air smelled of lavender and fresh paint, a testament to her life as an artist and mother. Ethan followed, his polished shoes out of place on the worn hardwood, his eyes drawn to the walls adorned with colorful drawings and framed photos of two small boys, Isaiah and Isaac, grinning at birthdays, splashing in puddles, sleeping curled together like puppies. His sons. The sight tightened his chest, each image a milestone he'd missed. Amara paused in the cozy living room, where sunlight streamed through a bay window, illuminating a couch piled with mismatched pillows. She gestured for Ethan to sit, but her posture remained guarded, her arms crossed tightly. She said they're at the park with my neighbor, her voice steady but soft. We have a little time to talk. Ethan nodded, sinking onto the couch, his tailored suit creasing against the worn fabric. The airport encounter still pulsed in his mind. Those blue eyes, his eyes, staring up from his sons' faces. He wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but the weight of Amara's silence held him back. Why didn't you tell me? He finally said, his voice low, raw with the hurt of 5 lost years. You knew I'd want to know about them. Amara's gaze dropped to her hands, her fingers twisting a silver ring she'd worn since their marriage. She took a deep breath, as if steeling herself to unearth a buried truth. It wasn't just about you, Ethan, she began, her eyes meeting his, fierce yet fragile. It was about me, about surviving a world that never let me forget I didn't belong. She moved to a small bookshelf, pulling out a photo album. She opened it to a picture of their wedding day. Ethan in a simple tux, Amara in a flowing white dress, both beaming under a Brooklyn sky. I loved you, she said, her voice trembling. But your world, your mother, those galas, the whispers, was like drowning. The night I left, I was at your mother's charity gala. I was going to tell you I was pregnant. Then I overheard Vivian talking to her friends by the champagne fountain. She said she was relieved I hadn't gotten pregnant yet, that your family wasn't ready for mixed-race grandchildren. Ethan's breath caught, a sharp pang of betrayal slicing through him. Vivian said that? His voice was barely a whisper, his hands clenching into fists. He'd known his mother disapproved of their marriage, her tight smiles and pointed comments a constant undercurrent. But this was a wound he hadn't seen coming. Amara nodded, her eyes glistening. It broke something in me, Ethan. I'd spent 2 years pretending the stares didn't hurt, That the society pages calling me the artist from Bed-Stuy weren't coded insults. I couldn't bring our children into that, not when their grandmother saw them as a problem before they were even born. She closed the album, her fingers lingering on its cover. I went to my sister's in Atlanta. I planned to tell you, but the pregnancy was complicated. Twins, bed rest, complications. By the time they were born, I'd convinced myself you were better off building your empire, and they were better off without that world. Ethan leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his head bowed. You raised them alone, he said, the words heavy with awe and guilt. You gave them this home, this life, without me. Amara's lips curved into a bittersweet smile. It wasn't easy. I taught art at a community center, stretched every dollar, and leaned on my sister and neighbors. But Isaiah and Isaac, they're my heart. Isaiah is sensitive, always watching and feeling everything. Isaac is bold, always drawing, and dreams big. I told them stories about their daddy and how he built towers that touched the sky. I wanted them to know you, even if it was just through pictures. Ethan's eyes drifted to a photo on the coffee table. The twins at a zoo, laughing as they fed a giraffe. I missed everything, he murmured. Their first steps, their first words. I should have been there. You're here now, Amara said, her voice softening. But it's not simple, Ethan. Your world comes with cameras, headlines, and judgment. I saw that reporter at the airport. It's already starting. I can't let them face that. Before Ethan could respond, the front door swung open, and the sound of small feet filled the house. Isaiah and Isaac bounded in, their cheeks flushed from the park, their neighbor, a kind-faced woman in her 60s, trailing behind. Mommy! Isaiah called, then stopped, his blue eyes widening at Ethan. Isaac, clutching a crumpled drawing, tilted his head, studying him. Hey, it's the ice cream man, Isaac said, breaking the silence. Ethan chuckled, the tension easing slightly. They're back early, Amara said, shooting an apologetic glance at Ethan. She knelt to hug the boys, smoothing Isaiah's curls. Did you have fun? We saw a squirrel, Isaiah said, his shyness melting. It stole Isaac's cracker. Ethan crouched to their level, his heart racing. Sounds like quite a thief. What's that you've got, Isaac? Isaac held up his drawing. A wobbly sketch of a skyscraper with a tiny plane flying above. It's a building like Daddy's, he said proudly. Mommy says you make them tall. Ethan's throat tightened. I do, he said, his voice thick. You can help me build one someday. Isaiah tugged at Amara's sleeve, his voice a whisper. Is he staying, Mommy? Amara looked at Ethan, her eyes searching his. We're figuring that out, sweetheart, she said gently. She stood, addressing Ethan. They need a father, not a headline. If you want to be in their lives, you must understand what it means for them, for us. Ethan rose, his resolve hardening. I'm not here to disrupt their lives, Amara. I want to be their father, know them, and protect them, whatever it takes. Amara's gaze softened, but worry lingered. Your world doesn't make it that easy. And Nathan Pierce, your assistant, mentioned him at the airport. He's already sniffing around, isn't he? Ethan nodded grimly. He's trying to sabotage the Brooklyn deal, using this, us, to stir up trouble. But I won't let him touch them. The neighbor, hovering by the door, cleared her throat. Amara, I saw a van parked across the street that looked like a reporter's van. You should keep the curtains closed. Amara's face tightened, and Ethan felt a surge of protectiveness. I'll handle it, he said, pulling out his phone to call his security team. As he spoke, he watched Amara guide the twins to the kitchen, her voice calm as she promised cookies. She was their anchor, their shield, and he'd been absent for too long. He would fight for this family for whatever came next. Pierce's schemes, the media's glare, his mother's prejudice, for Isaiah and Isaac, for Amara, for the chance to make things right. The Brooklyn Park buzzed with late afternoon energy. Children shrieking on swings, a basketball game thumping in the distance, and the scent of grilled hot dogs wafting from a nearby vendor. Ethan Caldwell sat on a weathered bench, his tailored jacket folded beside him, watching Amara Johnson push Isaiah and Isaac on the swings. The twins' laughter rang out, high and bright, but their glances toward Ethan held a cautious curiosity. Only a day had passed since the airport encounter, yet Ethan felt his world had shifted. His sons were a living paradox, strangers who carried his features, blue eyes, and thoughtful frowns. He wanted to know them, to bridge the gap of 5 years, but their small, searching faces made him ache with the weight of time lost. Amara slowed the swings, her sundress swaying as she knelt to adjust Isaiah's shoelace. "You boys want to show your dad the slide?" she asked, her voice warm but tinged with caution. She'd agreed to this outing, a tentative step toward letting Ethan into their lives, but her eyes flicked to him, wary of the chaos his presence might bring. Isaiah, the quieter twin, clung to Amara's hand, his gaze darting to Ethan. "Will he leave like in stories?" he whispered, loud enough for Ethan to hear. The question pierced him, a reminder of the void he'd left. Boulder Isaac hopped off his swing and marched over, clutching a small sketchbook. "You build tall buildings, right?" he asked, thrusting a drawing at Ethan, a wobbly skyscraper with a stick figure family on top. Ethan took the sketch, his throat tightening. "Yeah, buddy, I do. This is amazing. Is that us up there?" Isaac nodded, his curls bouncing. "Isaiah, Mommy, and I. You can be in it too, if you stay." His tone was matter-of-fact, but the challenge in his eyes was clear. Ethan crouched to their level, his dress shirt creasing. "I'm not going anywhere," he said, looking between them. "I want to be your dad, for real, okay?" Isaiah's grip on Amara's hand loosened slightly, but he stayed close, studying Ethan with a mix of hope and doubt. "Why weren't you here before?" he asked, his voice small. "Mommy said you were busy, but Tommy's dad lives with him." Amara's eyes met Ethan's, a silent plea to tread carefully. He took a deep breath, choosing honesty. "I didn't know about you guys," he said. "If I had, I'd have been here, pushing swings, building forts, everything. I'm here now, and I'm staying." Isaac tilted his head, mimicking Ethan's thoughtful expression. "Promise?" "Promise," Ethan said, his voice firm. He held out his pinky, and Isaac hooked his own around it, grinning. Isaiah hesitated, then joined, his small finger trembling. The simple gesture felt like a vow, binding Ethan to a future he was only beginning to understand. Amara stood, brushing dirt from her knees. She said, "Let's hit the slide," guiding the boys toward the playground. Ethan followed, watching as Isaiah climbed cautiously, glancing back to ensure Ethan was still there, while Isaac raced to the top, fearless. Their differences, Isaiah's sensitivity, Isaac's boldness, fascinated him, each trait a piece of the puzzle he longed to complete. Amara sat beside Ethan on the bench as they played, her posture still guarded. "They're trying to trust you," she said quietly. "But they're scared. They've heard stories about daddies who leave. And now, with you here, people are talking." Ethan followed her gaze to a group of parents nearby, their whispers audible. "Is that the guy from the news? The billionaire with the secret kids?" A woman pointed discreetly, her phone angled for a photo. Ethan's jaw clenched. The media had already latched onto the airport story, with tabloids speculating about his hidden heirs. Nathan Pierce, his rival, was fanning the flames, leaking rumors to undermine Ethan's leadership in the Brooklyn deal. "They don't need this," Amara said, her voice tight. "They're just kids. Isaiah's already asking why people stare. I explained that some folks are nosy about our family because you're... you." Ethan's heart sank. He'd built an empire, but it came with a spotlight he couldn't dim. "I'll keep them safe," he promised. "I've got a security team on standby. No one gets near them." Amara shook her head. "It's not just about security, Ethan. It's about them feeling normal. They're starting to notice they're different, not just because of you, but because of me." Yesterday, Isaiah asked why his skin is darker than yours in the pictures I showed them. Ethan leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "What did you tell him?" "I told him he's beautiful, that he's got my strength and your eyes, that he's both of us," she said, her voice softening. "But it's hard, Ethan. They're going to face questions I did when we were together. Questions about belonging, about who they are. I've been teaching them about their heritage and my family's roots, but they need you to understand that too." Ethan nodded, the weight of her words settling in. He'd loved Amara for her fierce authenticity, but hadn't fully grasped the toll of navigating his world as her partner. "I want to learn," he said. "For them. For you." Before Amara could respond, Isaac slid down the slide, landing with a triumphant whoop. "Dad, watch this," he called, scrambling back up. Isaiah followed, more tentative, but his smile grew when Ethan cheered. The boy's joy was a lifeline, pulling Ethan from the spiral of guilt and doubt. Amara gathered the boys' things as the sun dipped, her movements brisk. "We should head back," she said. "Dinner's waiting." But as they walked toward the brownstone, a sleek van pulled across the street, its tinted windows glinting. Ethan's phone buzzed, a text from Laura. "Pierce's team leaked to the Post. They're calling the twins unverified." Board's getting antsy. Ethan's grip tightened on his phone. Nathan Pierce was playing dirty, using the twins to destabilize Ethan's position. He glanced at Isaiah and Isaac, who were chasing each other in circles, oblivious to the growing storm. "Amara," he said quietly, "Pierce is stirring up trouble. He's questioning the boys to hurt the Brooklyn deal." Amara's eyes flashed with anger. "He's using my kids as pawns? Over some contract?" "It's more than that," Ethan said. "He's got a grudge, years old, from when I outbid him on a Manhattan project. He's desperate to take me down." Isaiah tugged at Amara's hand, sensing the tension. "Is something wrong, Mommy?" She knelt, forcing a smile. "Just grown-up stuff, sweetheart. Let's get you home for mac and cheese." As they walked, Ethan stepped beside her, his mind racing. The twins' laughter echoed, but the whispers from passers-by and the van's lingering presence were a stark reminder of the world encroaching on their fragile reunion. Isaiah's question, "Will he leave like in stories?" replayed in Ethan's mind, fueling his resolve. He'd missed 4 years of their lives, but wouldn't miss another moment. Whatever Nathan Pierce threw at them, whatever his mother's prejudices stirred, Ethan would fight for his sons and the family he was determined to rebuild. The boardroom at Caldwell Enterprises' Manhattan headquarters gleamed with polished mahogany and floor-to-ceiling windows, the New York skyline sprawling beyond like a trophy of Ethan Caldwell's ambition. Ethan sat at the head of the long table, his jaw tight, as board members shuffled papers and exchanged uneasy glances. The $3 billion Brooklyn waterfront deal hung in the balance, and Nathan Pierce, Ethan's rival, had seized the moment to strike. Laura, Ethan's assistant, stood by the door, her tablet glowing with urgent messages. "Pierce's team is pushing hard," she whispered as Ethan adjusted his tie. "They've got Rosenberg rattled." Nathan Pierce entered with a predatory smile, his tailored gray suit as sharp as his reputation. A decade ago, Ethan had outbid him on a pivotal Manhattan contract, a loss that cost Nathan his first firm and left a scar of resentment. Now, as CEO of Pierce Development, Nathan was a formidable adversary, his ambition fueled by a personal vendetta. His childless marriage, strained by his relentless drive, only deepened his envy of Ethan's newfound family. "Gentlemen," Nathan began, his voice smooth, "I'm concerned about Caldwell Enterprises' stability. Recent personal developments raise questions about leadership focus." Ethan's fingers tightened around his pen. The tabloids had exploded since the airport, with headlines screaming "Billionaire's secret heirs." Nathan had leaked the story, framing Ethan's reunion with Isaiah and Isaac as a scandal to sway investors. "My personal life is irrelevant," Ethan said, his tone icy. "Our financials are strong, and the Brooklyn deal is locked." "Not reasonably," Nathan countered, sliding a folder across the table. "Our investors are nervous." Whispers of unverified children and canceled meetings don't inspire confidence. He paused, his eyes glinting. "Shareholders deserve transparency. A DNA test to clarify the situation?" The room tensed, murmurs rippling among the board. Ethan's heart pounded, not for the deal, but for his sons. The idea of subjecting Isaiah and Isaac to tests, as if their bond needed proof, was unthinkable. "Those boys are mine," he said, his voice low but firm. "One look at them, and there's no doubt. This is a distraction, Nathan, and you know it." Before Nathan could respond, the door swung open, and Vivian Caldwell swept in, her silver hair perfectly styled, her designer blazer a shield of old money authority. "Ethan, darling, we need to address this properly," she said, her voice clipped. She turned to the board, ignoring Nathan. "We must control the narrative. A press release and a DNA test to silence speculation." Ethan's chair scraped as he stood, his eyes locking on his mother. "No tests," he said, his voice cutting through the room. "They're my sons, Vivian, and their mother is Amara, the woman you drove away." The accusation hung heavy, referencing Amara's revelation about Vivian's gala comments 5 years ago. The board fell silent, sensing a family rift. Vivian's lips tightened, but she held her composure. "This isn't about the past, Ethan. It's about protecting the company. The stock dipped 3 points this morning. Investors want certainty." "Certainty?" Ethan's voice rose, a rare crack in his control. "You want to put my kids through a circus for stock prices? You're the one who made Amara feel she didn't belong, and who said our children would be a problem." Vivian flinched, her polished facade cracking. "I was wrong," she said quietly, her eyes dropping. "But we're talking about billions, Ethan. Your legacy." "My legacy is Isaiah and Isaac," he shot back. "Not this deal, not this company." He turned to the board. "If you want to question my priorities, do it. But I'm not playing Nathan's game." Nathan leaned back, his smile unwavering. "The board has a right to know if you can lead, Ethan. Your domestic drama suggests otherwise." He slid another document forward, a shareholder petition questioning Ethan's focus, seeded by his allies. Laura stepped forward, her tablet buzzing. "Sir, the Post just published another story. They're calling the twins unconfirmed heirs. It's trending online." Ethan's stomach churned. He pictured Isaiah's shy question. Will he leave like in stories? And Isaac's bold drawing of their family. They didn't deserve this scrutiny. "Enough," he said, addressing the room. We proceed with the Brooklyn deal as planned. I'll handle Pierce's rumors myself. As the meeting adjourned, Nathan lingered, his eyes cold. This isn't over, Caldwell. The truth always comes out. His words carried a personal edge, rooted in years of rivalry. Ethan had once taken Nathan's chance at greatness. Now Nathan saw an opportunity to return the favor. Outside, Ethan headed to his car, his phone buzzing with a text from Amara. Reporters outside the brownstone again. Boys are asking questions. Call me. His heart sank. The media frenzy was closing, and Nathan's schemes were only beginning. He dialed Amara, her voice tense when she answered. They're saying the boys aren't yours, she said. Isaiah overheard and asked if he's not allowed to have a dad. Ethan gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white. I'm coming over, he said. No one's taking them from me. Not Nathan, not the media, not anyone. At the brownstone, Amara met him at the door, her eyes weary but fierce. The twins were upstairs, their laughter faint. She said, They're okay for now, but this can't keep happening, Ethan. They need stability, not headlines. Ethan nodded, his resolve hardening. I'll fix this, he promised. But I need to know you're with me. We can protect them together. Amara's gaze softened, but her voice held steel. I've protected them alone for 4 years. If you're in, you're all in. No half measures. No running back to your empire when it gets tough. I'm all in, Ethan said, his voice steady. He glanced up the stairs, where Isaiah peeked down, clutching a stuffed plane. For them. For you. As Amara led him inside, Ethan knew the fight was beginning. Nathan's vendetta, Vivian's lingering prejudice, the media's glare. They were all threats to the fragile family he was building. But the twins' laughter, echoing from above, was a reminder of what mattered most. He'd face whatever came to keep that sound in his life, no matter the cost to his empire. The Brooklyn brownstone glowed softly under the evening sky, its windows casting warm light onto the quiet street. Inside, Ethan Caldwell stood in Amara Johnson's living room, his posture rigid, his eyes fixed on his mother, Vivian Caldwell. The air was thick with tension, which follows a truth too long buried. Amara stood by the bookshelf, her arms crossed, her expression a mix of resolve and exhaustion. Isaiah and Isaac's laughter drifted down upstairs, their voices bright as they played with a neighbor's borrowed puppy. The sound anchored Ethan, a reminder of why he was here, ready to confront the woman whose words had shattered his family 5 years ago. Vivian, we need to talk about what you said, Ethan began, his voice low but unyielding. At the gala, when Amara was pregnant, you told your friends you weren't ready for mixed-race grandchildren. You drove her away. Vivian's perfectly manicured hands tightened around her purse, her lips parting in a faint gasp. She stood near the couch, her designer blazer a stark contrast to the room's cozy chaos. Crayon-streaked drawings, a half-finished puzzle, a stack of Amara's art books. Ethan, she started, faltered, her eyes darting to Amara. I didn't mean for it to happen like that. Didn't mean what? Ethan pressed, stepping closer. To make Amara feel like she didn't belong? To make her think our children would be a burden to you? She left because of you, Vivian. I lost my family because of you. Amara's gaze softened, but remained silent, letting Ethan's words hang. Vivian's composure cracked, her shoulders sagging. I was wrong, she said, her voice trembling. I grew up in a different time, Ethan. My parents, their friends, they had ideas about who belonged in our world. I let those ideas shape me. And when you married Amara, I was afraid. Afraid of what people would say, of losing our place. She turned to Amara, tears glistening. I'm sorry. I made you feel unwelcome. And I pushed you away from my son, from our family. Amara's jaw tightened, her fingers brushing the silver ring she still wore. Your words hurt, Vivian, she said quietly. I loved Ethan, but I felt like an outsider at every gala and every dinner at every gala and dinner. When I heard you that night, I knew I couldn't raise my boys in a world where their grandmother saw them as less. Vivian flinched, her hand rising to her mouth. I was foolish, she whispered. I was so caught up in appearances and protecting the Caldwell name that I forgot what family means. I see that now. Ethan's anger wavered, but he held firm. Seeing it isn't enough. Isaiah and Isaac are my sons, your grandsons. If you want to be part of their lives, you must show it, not just say it. Amara nodded, her voice steady. They're not pawns in your social games, Vivian. They're kids who need love, not judgment. If you're in for them, not for your image. Vivian sank onto the couch, her polished exterior crumbling. I want to know them, she said, her voice raw. I want to be the grandmother they deserve. Please, give me a chance to make this right. Before anyone could respond, the front door creaked open, and the twins bounded in, their faces flushed from play. Isaiah clutched a toy plane, while Isaac held a crumpled drawing. Mommy, the puppy licked my face, Isaac announced, then stopped, eyeing Vivian warily. Isaiah hid behind Amara, his blue eyes wide. Amara knelt, smoothing Isaiah's curls. It's okay, sweetheart. This is Grandma Vivian. Grandma, Isaiah whispered, glancing at Ethan. Why's she sad? Ethan crouched beside him, his heart aching. Sometimes people make mistakes, buddy, he said gently, but they can change if they try hard enough. Isaac tilted his head, studying Vivian. Do you like planes? He asked, holding up his toy. Isaiah says they're the best. Vivian managed a small smile, wiping her eyes. I think planes are wonderful, she said. Can you show me how they fly? Isaiah hesitated, then stepped forward, offering his plane. The small gesture felt like a bridge, fragile but real. Ethan exchanged a look with Amara, a silent agreement to give Vivian a chance, but with boundaries. The moment was interrupted by Ethan's phone buzzing. A text from Laura. Pierce filed a shareholder motion, wants a vote on your leadership, citing personal instability. Board meeting tomorrow. Ethan's stomach twisted. Nathan Pierce was escalating his attack, using the twins' existence to paint Ethan unfit. The media frenzy was growing, with reporters camped outside the brownstone, their cameras flashing through the curtains. Pierce again? Amara asked, reading his expression. Ethan nodded, slipping his phone into his pocket. He's pushing the board to question my focus and using the boys as leverage. Amara's eyes flashed with anger. He's targeting our kids to win a deal? That's low, even for him. It's personal, Ethan said grimly. Years ago, I outbid him on a project that could have made his career. He lost his first company, and his marriage fell apart. He's been waiting for a chance to hit back. Vivian stood, her resolve hardening. Then we fight back, she said. I have connections, editors, investors, even a judge or two. Let me help. Ethan raised an eyebrow, skeptical. You're offering to help now? Vivian said, I'm offering to protect my grandsons, her voice firm, and to make up for my mistakes. Let me start with this. Amara studied her, then nodded slowly. For the boys, she said. But we do this our way. No press releases, no DNA tests. They're Ethan's sons, and that's enough. Ethan felt a surge of gratitude for Amara's strength. Agreed, he said. I'll handle the board tomorrow, but we keep the boys out of it. As Vivian nodded, Isaiah tugged at Ethan's sleeve. Are you staying for dinner, Dad? The word dad hit Ethan like a warm wave, grounding him. Wouldn't miss it, he said, ruffling Isaiah's curls. Isaac grinned, holding up his drawing. A family with 4 stick figures now, Vivian included. As Amara prepared macaroni and cheese upstairs, Ethan helped the twins set the table, their small hands fumbling with forks. Vivian watched, tentative but present, her eyes lingering on the boys' laughter. Outside, the reporters' vans loomed, a reminder of Nathan's schemes and the world waiting to tear into their family. But inside, in this moment, Ethan felt a spark of hope. Vivian's reckoning was a start, a crack in the wall between past and future. Whatever Nathan threw at them next, Ethan would face it. For Isaiah, Isaac, Amara, and the family they were rebuilding, one fragile step at a time. The Hamptons estate sprawled across a windswept bluff, its white clapboard facade glowing under the late summer sun. Waves crashed below, their rhythm contrasting with the chaos Ethan Caldwell and Amara Johnson had left behind in Brooklyn. The twins, Isaiah and Isaac, raced across the lawn, their sneakers kicking up sand as they chased a kite Vivian Caldwell had unearthed from a storage shed. Ethan watched from the porch, his shirt sleeves rolled up, a rare smile softening his features. The move to Vivian's summer home was meant to shield them from the media storm Nathan Pierce had unleashed, but the weight of unresolved tensions lingered. Amara joined Ethan, her sundress fluttering in the breeze, a sketchpad tucked under her arm. "They love it here," she said, her eyes following the boys. "But it feels like we're hiding." Her voice carried a quiet strain, the echo of a life upended by headlines and whispers. Since Nathan's leaks, reporters had swarmed their brownstone, snapping photos and shouting questions about unverified heirs. The twins had noticed their innocent questions. "Why do people stare, Mommy?" Cutting deeper each day. Ethan reached for her hand, his touch tentative. "We're not hiding," he said. "We're protecting them. This place, it's a fresh start, at least until I handle Pierce." Amara's gaze hardened. "How do you handle him?" "He's not just after your deal, Ethan. He's after us, our family." She glanced at the twins, Isaiah giggling as Isaac's kite tangled in a bush. "I've kept them safe for 4 years. I can't let your world hurt them." Ethan nodded, his jaw tight. "I know what I'm asking you to trust, Amara, but I'm all in for them, for you. I'll make this right." Vivian emerged from the house, a tray of lemonade in her hands, her designer sandals clicking on the porch. Since her apology in Brooklyn, she'd been trying, awkwardly, to connect with the twins, offering toys and stories, though her stiffness betrayed years of distance. "Boys, have a drink," she called, her voice warmer than Ethan remembered. Isaiah hesitated, clutching his kite string, but Isaac bounded over, his curiosity outweighing his shyness. "Grandma, can we build a sandcastle?" Isaac asked, gulping lemonade. "A big one? Like Daddy's buildings?" Vivian's smile faltered, then steadied. "Of course, darling. We'll make the best castle on the beach." She glanced at Amara, seeking approval. Amara nodded slightly, her guard still up but softening. As the twins dragged Vivian to the shore, Ethan and Amara followed, settling on a blanket with a view of the crashing waves. Amara opened her sketchpad, revealing a drawing of the twins laughing under a tree. "I started this in Atlanta," she said quietly. "When I was on bed rest, I was scared I'd lose them. I'd draw to keep myself sane, to imagine their future." She paused, her pencil hovering. "I never thought you'd be part of it again." Ethan's chest ached. "What was it like?" he asked, his voice soft. "Raising them alone?" Amara's eyes glistened. "Hard. Lonely. My sister helped, but every doctor's visit, every late-night fever, it was just me. I worked 2 jobs, teaching art and waitressing, to help them afford their preschool. But they were worth it. Isaiah would cry when I left for work. Isaac would draw pictures to cheer me up. I told them about you, showed them your buildings in magazines. I wanted them to be proud. You gave them everything, Ethan said, his voice thick. I wish I'd been there. You're here now, Amara said, echoing her words from the brownstone. But your world follows you. Those reporters, they're not just after a story. They're digging into our lives, our kids. Ethan's phone buzzed, interrupting the moment. A text from Laura. Pierce filed a formal motion with the SEC. Claims your personal instability violates fiduciary duty. Board meeting tomorrow. Ethan's grip tightened. Nathan's latest move cited securities law, alleging Ethan's focus on his unconfirmed sons jeopardized shareholder value. The Brooklyn deal was at risk, and with it, Ethan's leadership. He's relentless, Ethan muttered, showing Amara the message. He's using the boys to force a vote. Amara's jaw clenched. He's not touching them. I got a call today about a teaching job running an art program in Seattle. It's far from all this. I'm thinking about it. Ethan's heart sank. You'd take them away again? Not away, Amara said, her voice firm. To safety. They deserve a life without cameras, Ethan. Before he could respond, Isaiah ran up, sand dusting his cheeks. Daddy, look! He held up a seashell, his eyes bright. Can we keep it for our castle? Ethan forced a smile, ruffling his curls. It's perfect, buddy. Isaac joined, dragging a stick to draw in the sand. He said that Grandma says we can make towers like yours, glancing at Ethan. Will you help? Count me in, Ethan said, his resolve hardening. He looked at Amara. I'm not losing them again. If you want Seattle, I'll move the company's focus there, whatever it takes. Amara's eyes searched his, a flicker of hope breaking through her caution. You'd leave New York? Your empire? For you 3? In a heartbeat, Ethan said. But first, I need to stop Pierce. Vivian returned, sand on her hands, a rare laugh escaping her. These boys are architects already, she said, then noticed their expressions. What's wrong? Nathan's escalating, Ethan said. He's pushing for a board vote, using the boys as ammunition. Vivian's lips tightened. I'll call my contacts at the Times. We'll counter his narrative. She hesitated, then turned to Amara. I don't deserve your trust, but let me help protect them. Amara nodded slowly. For the boys, she said, echoing their earlier agreement. As the sun set, the family built a sandcastle, Isaiah carefully placing shells, Isaac sketching towers with his stick. Ethan watched, memorizing their laughter, their trust. But the distant sound of a car engine broke the moment. A van parked at the estate's gate, its lens glinting. Reporters had followed them, and Nathan's shadow loomed larger. Ethan knew the fight was far from over. But with Amara's strength, Vivian's tentative redemption, and the twins' joy anchoring him, he felt ready to face it. For the family he'd found, and would never let go. The Manhattan courtroom buzzed with tension, its oak-paneled walls absorbing the murmurs of spectators and the sharp clicks of reporters' cameras. Ethan Caldwell sat beside Amara Johnson in the front row, his hand gripping hers under the table, a silent anchor against the storm. Across the aisle, Nathan Pierce leaned back in his chair, his tailored suit pristine, his smirk barely concealed. He'd escalated his attack, filing a motion with the Securities and Exchange Commission and a New York family court, demanding a DNA test to verify the paternity of Isaiah and Isaac, Ethan's twin sons. The claim, citing Ethan's instability as a breach of fiduciary duty to Caldwell Enterprises shareholders, was a calculated strike to derail the $3 billion Brooklyn deal. Rachel Stein, Ethan's attorney, stood at the podium, her voice steady as she addressed the judge. "Your Honor, Mr. Pierce's motion blatantly attempts to harass my client's family. Under New York Family Court Law, Section 532, paternity tests require credible evidence of a doubt, which Mr. Pierce has not provided. This is a fishing expedition, not a legal necessity." The judge, a stern woman with gray-streaked hair, peered over her glasses. Ms. Stein, the plaintiff, argues that Mr. Caldwell's recent actions, canceling critical meetings and relocating to the Hamptons, suggest instability that impacts shareholders. How do you respond? Ethan's jaw tightened. Nathan's team had twisted his choice to prioritize his sons into a corporate liability, leveraging securities regulations to pressure the court. Amara squeezed his hand, her eyes fixed on the judge, her posture rigid. The twins were with Vivian at the Hamptons estate, shielded from the media circus. But Amara's worry for them was palpable. Rachel straightened her blazer. "Your Honor, Mr. Caldwell's personal life does not negate his leadership. Caldwell Enterprises stock has held steady, and the Brooklyn deal remains on track. Mr. Pierce's motion lacks standing. It's a personal vendetta, not a shareholder concern." Nathan's attorney, a slick man named Carter, rose. "Your Honor, under SEC Rule 14A8, shareholders can challenge leadership decisions impacting company value. Mr. Caldwell's unverified children raise questions of inheritance and corporate succession. A DNA test ensures transparency." Ethan's blood boiled. The idea of subjecting Isaiah and Isaac to tests, as if their bond needed proof, was an insult. He leaned toward Amara, whispering, "They're not getting near our boys." Amara's eyes flashed with defiance. "They won't," she whispered back. She stood, addressing the judge. "Your Honor, may I speak?" The judge nodded, and Amara stepped forward, her voice clear despite the tremor in her hands. "I'm the twins' mother. I left Ethan 5 years ago because his world, its judgment, its scrutiny, made me feel I couldn't protect my children. Indeed, I had taken a DNA test before telling Ethan about them. I have the results from an independent lab in Atlanta. There's no doubt. They're his sons. This motion isn't about truth. It's about hurting my family." The courtroom fell silent, the weight of her words settling over the room. Ethan's heart swelled with pride and pain. Amara had faced that test alone, carrying the burden of proof to shield their sons from this moment. Carter adjusted his tie, unfazed. "Ms. Johnson's test is unverified by this court. We request a supervised test to ensure impartiality." The judge frowned, tapping her pen. "Ms. Johnson, can you provide documentation of your prior test?" Amara said, "Your Honor," and nodded to Rachel, who handed over a sealed envelope. "It's certified and was dated 4 years ago." The judge reviewed the papers, and her expression was unreadable. "I'll take this under advisement. The court is adjourned until tomorrow." Outside, reporters swarmed, their cameras flashing as Ethan and Amara pushed through. "Mr. Caldwell, are the twins yours?" one shouted. "Ms. Johnson, did you hide them for profit?" Amara flinched, and Ethan pulled her close, shielding her as they reached their car. The twins were sprawled on the living room rug at the Hamptons estate, drawing with Vivian. Isaiah looked up as they entered, his blue eyes wide. "Mommy, I heard a man on TV say we're not daddies. Is that true?" Amara knelt, her voice soft but firm. "No, sweetheart, you're daddy's boys, and nothing changes that." She hugged him, her eyes meeting Ethan's over his shoulder. Isaac, clutching a crayon, frowned. "Why do people say mean things?" Ethan crouched beside him, his throat tight. "Some people don't understand our family," he said. "But we know the truth. You're my sons, and I love you." Vivian, sitting nearby, set down her tea. "I've called a friend at the post," she said. "They're running a counter-story tomorrow, focusing on your commitment to family, Ethan. No more DNA nonsense." Amara raised an eyebrow, her trust in Vivian still fragile. "No tests," she said. "We agreed." "Agreed," Vivian said, her voice earnest. "I'm learning, Amara. I want to protect them too." Ethan's phone buzzed. A text from Laura. "Pierce is lobbying board members. The vote tomorrow could be close." Nathan's motion had stirred doubt, and the Brooklyn deal teetered. Ethan looked at the twins. Isaiah was now drawing a plane, and Isaac sketched a family with 4 figures. Their innocence fueled his resolve. "We need a plan," Ethan said to Amara. "I'm hiring a PR firm to shift the narrative. Focus on our family, not Pierce's lies. And Rachel's digging into his financials. He's not as clean as he seems." Amara nodded, her jaw set. "Please do what you must, but keep the boys out of it. They've been through enough." That night, as the twins slept upstairs, Ethan and Amara sat on the porch, the ocean's roar a steady backdrop. Amara said I could keep them safe by leaving, her voice low. "But these courts, reporters, it's what I was afraid of." Ethan took her hand. "We'll face it together. I'm not letting Pierce or anyone tear us apart." Isaiah's voice called from the window. "Daddy, can you read us a story?" Ethan smiled. "Standing and coming, buddy." As he headed inside, Amara followed, her sketchpad under her arm. The legal battle loomed, but in this moment, their family's strength, forged through love and trust, was their greatest weapon against the storm ahead. The Hamptons estate hummed warmly as the late afternoon sun filtered through expansive windows, casting golden patches on the hardwood floors. Amara Johnson stood in the spacious living room, arranging a circle of colorful cushions on a woven rug. A table nearby held art supplies, books, and a small stack of family photos, each item carefully chosen for what she called Culture Day. Isaiah and Isaac, her twin sons, bounced excitedly, their blue eyes, Ethan's eyes, sparkling with curiosity. Ethan Caldwell sat cross-legged on the rug, his dress shirt swapped for a casual tee, his presence a quiet commitment to learning alongside his boys. The media storm and Nathan Pierce's legal attacks still loomed, but today, Amara was carving out a moment for their family to anchor itself in something more profound than headlines. "Mommy, what's this?" Isaiah asked, holding up a book with a vibrant cover depicting African drummers. His shy voice carried a hunger for understanding, a need to make sense of the world that had begun to notice him. Amara knelt beside him, her smile soft. "It's a story about our ancestors," she said. "They came from places with music and art that live in us too. We're going to learn about them today." She glanced at Ethan, her eyes a mix of invitation and challenge. "All of us." Ethan nodded, his fingers brushing a photo of Amara's grandmother, her face etched with strength. "I'm ready," he said, his voice earnest. He'd spent years building skyscrapers, but this, understanding his son's heritage, felt like a new kind of foundation. After the courtroom battle, where Amara's prior DNA test had stalled Nathan's motion, Ethan knew their family's strength lay in unity, not just against external threats, but within their shared identity. Amara began with a story, her voice weaving a tale of her great-grandparents, who ran a community garden in Alabama, passing down resilience and creativity. Isaiah listened, rapt, while Isaac sketched the scene, his crayon capturing a garden bursting with color. "Did they look like us?" Isaiah asked, touching his curly hair. They did, Amara said, pulling him close. You've got their spirit. And a bit of Daddy's, too. She handed Ethan a braid of yarn. Want to try braiding? It's something my mom taught me, like her mom taught her. Ethan fumbled with the yarn, his fingers clumsy but determined. Like this? He asked, looping the strands awkwardly. Isaac giggled, crawling over to help, while Isaiah watched, his shyness easing. The simple act felt profound, a bridge to a heritage Ethan was only beginning to grasp. Why do we look different from you, Daddy? Isaiah asked suddenly, his small hand touching Ethan's lighter skin. The question hung in the air, innocent, yet heavy. Ethan paused, his heart tightening. He looked to Amara, who gave a subtle nod. You're a mix of both of us, he said gently. You've got Mommy's strength and my eyes. That makes you special, like a painting with all the best colors. He hesitated, then added, I'm learning about that part of you, just like you are. Amara's eyes softened, a flicker of trust breaking through her caution. You're doing okay, she said, a rare tease in her voice. She handed the twins construction paper. Let's make art about who we are. As the boys drew, Isaiah crafting a plane soaring over a garden, Isaac sketching a family under a bright sun, Vivian entered, her usual elegance softened by a cotton blouse. Her redemption was still fragile, but she'd been trying, joining the twins for small moments like reading or beach walks. May I join? She asked, her voice tentative. Amara nodded, gesturing to a cushion. We're sharing our history, she said. The boys are learning about their roots. Vivian sat, her eyes lingering on Isaiah's drawing. That's beautiful, she said, then hesitated. My family had traditions too. Sailing, music. I want to share those with you, if that's okay. Isaac grinned. Can we sail a boat? Vivian's smile widened. Soon, darling. I promise. The moment was interrupted by Ethan's phone buzzing. A text from Laura. Rachel found dirt on Pierce. His firm is hiding losses from a failed Miami project. Board's meeting tomorrow. Ethan's pulse quickened. Nathan's financial mismanagement could shift the narrative, weakening his grip on the Brooklyn deal. But the news came with a sting. A tabloid headline linked in the text. Caldwell's twins. Legitimate or leverage? Amara caught his expression. More trouble? She asked, her voice low. Pierce, Ethan said, showing her the headline. But Rachel's got something on him. Let's turn this around. Amara's jaw tightened. They're still after the boys. Isaiah saw that headline on a neighbor's phone. He asked if he's not real. Ethan's chest ached. He knelt beside Isaiah, who was adding clouds to his drawing. You're as real as it gets, buddy, he said, ruffling his curls. Don't let anyone tell you different. Isaiah nodded, but his eyes held doubt. Isaac leaned over, whispering, We're a team, right? Isaiah smiled, reassured by his twin's boldness. Vivian cleared her throat. She said, I've invited Amara's sister and cousins from Atlanta for a barbecue tomorrow. A chance for the boys to connect with family, and to show the world we're united. Amara raised an eyebrow, surprised. You planned that? Vivian nodded. I'm trying to make things right for them. As the twins finished their drawings, Ethan taped them to the wall, a gallery of their shared identity. The barbecue idea sparked hope, a chance to blend their worlds. But outside, a van lingered at the estate's gate, its camera glinting, a reminder of Nathan's relentless campaign. Ethan's resolve hardened. He'd protect his son's right to their heritage, family, and peace, no matter what it cost his empire. The boardroom at Caldwell Enterprises' Manhattan headquarters thrummed with tension, its sleek glass table reflecting the city skyline like a fractured mirror. Ethan Caldwell stood at the head, his posture steady, his eyes scanning the faces of the board members. Some allies, some swayed by Nathan Pierce's relentless campaign. Nathan sat across from him, his tailored suit immaculate, his smirk barely concealed. The air crackled with the weight of the $3 billion Brooklyn deal, now teetering as Nathan's latest motion accused Ethan of jeopardizing shareholder value with his instability. Ethan's resolve, forged by his son's laughter and Amara's trust, burned brighter than ever. Rachel Stein, Ethan's attorney, stood beside him, a folder of documents in hand. "Gentlemen," she began, her voice cutting through the murmurs, "Mr. Pierce's claims are baseless. Our financials show a 12% stock increase since the Brooklyn deal's announcement. His motion is a personal attack, not a legal one." Nathan leaned forward, sliding a stack of papers across the table. "These documents prove otherwise," he said, his tone smooth but venomous. "Emails from Ethan's assistant show he canceled critical meetings to chase family matters. And this report suggests the DNA test for his alleged sons was mishandled. Shareholders deserve clarity." Ethan's fists clenched, his mind flashing to Isaiah's shy question, "Are we not daddies?" and Isaac's bold sketch of their family. Nathan's lies directly attacked his sons, and Ethan would not let them stand. "He said those emails are out of context," his voice low but commanding. "And the DNA test?" Amara provided certified results. "You're grasping, Nathan," the board murmured, some nodding, others flipping through Nathan's doctored report. Sitting near the front, Vivian Caldwell adjusted her silk scarf, her eyes sharp. Since her apology in Brooklyn, she'd been working to earn Amara's trust. And now her gaze bore into Nathan. "You've overplayed your hand, Mr. Pierce," she said. "I've spoken to Clara, your sister. She has something to say." The doors swung open, and Clara Pierce entered, her posture rigid but determined. Her estrangement from Nathan stemmed from his ruthless ambition. Years ago, he'd pressured her to marry a business partner's son to secure a merger, fracturing their bond. "Nathan," she said, her voice steady, "you've been hiding losses from a failed Miami project. I have bank records showing you funneled company funds to cover it. You're not protecting shareholders. You're protecting yourself." The room erupted in gasps. Nathan's smirk faltered, his fingers tightening on his pen. "Clara, you're mistaken," he said, but his voice wavered. Rachel seized the moment, placing her folder before the board. "These records confirm Ms. Pierce's claims. Pierce Development's financials are a house of cards. Under SEC Rule 10b-5, Mr. Pierce's misrepresentations constitute fraud. His motion should be dismissed." The board chair, a grizzled veteran named Rosenberg, frowned. "This changes things. Mr. Pierce, your credibility is in question." Ethan saw his opening. He stepped forward, his voice calm but resolute. "I've built this company for decades, but learned something more important than any deal." He paused, picturing Isaiah's plane drawings, Isaac's sandcastles. "My sons, Isaiah and Isaac, are my legacy. If this board thinks my family makes me unfit, I'll make it simple." He pulled a document from his jacket. "This is an offer to sell my controlling shares to Nathan, effective immediately, under 3 conditions. He drops all claims against my children, publicly apologizes to Amara and the boys, and makes amends with Clara." The room fell silent, stunned. Nathan's eyes widened, his triumph turning to confusion. "You'd give up everything?" he stammered. "No," Ethan said, his gaze unwavering. "I'm keeping what matters, The company's just business. He turned to the board. But know this, our stock's up, our investors are committed, and the Brooklyn deal's stronger than ever. Choose what you value. Vivian stood, her voice cutting through the silence. I second Ethan's offer. The Caldwell shares, combined with our investor proxies, give us control. Nathan, do you accept? Nathan's face reddened, his hands trembling. This is absurd, he said. But the board's shifting glances told him he'd lost. Clara's revelation had stripped his leverage, and Ethan's sacrifice had shifted the power. Fine, Nathan muttered. I'll withdraw the motion. Rosenberg nodded. Motion dismissed. The board stands with Mr. Caldwell. As the meeting adjourned, Ethan's phone buzzed. A text from Amara. Boys are asking for you. Barbecue's starting. He smiled, picturing the Hamptons lawn filled with her Atlanta relatives, the twins laughing with their cousins. Nathan approached, his expression a mix of defeat and defiance. You think this is over? He said. The media's still watching. Let them watch, Ethan replied. I'm done playing your games. He left the boardroom, Clara's grateful nod following him. Vivian caught up, her eyes proud. You did well, Ethan, for them. Back at the Hamptons, the barbecue was in full swing, the air alive with music and chatter. Amara greeted Ethan with a relieved smile, her sketchpad tucked away. Isaiah ran up, clutching a cousin's toy drum. Daddy, listen, he said, tapping a rhythm. Isaac followed, drawing their family, now including cousins and Vivian. You made it, Amara said, her hand brushing Ethan's. How'd it go? It's over, Ethan said, pulling her close. Pierce is out. The boys are safe. Amara's eyes glistened. You gave up the company? For us, Ethan said. But I kept it too. The board's with me. And I'm starting something new, smaller, sustainable, here with you. Vivian joined as the twins danced with their cousins, her laughter mingling with theirs. The media van still lingered at the gate, but their stronger and united family felt untouchable. Ethan knew challenges remained, but with Amara and the boys, he'd face them all, his true legacy shining brighter than any skyline. The Seattle beach shimmered under a late summer sunset, its sands adorned with white roses and twinkling lanterns that cast a warm glow over the gathering. Amara Johnson stood at the edge of a driftwood arch, her simple lace dress flowing in the breeze, her eyes locked on Ethan Caldwell as he waited beneath the arch, his linen suit softened by the fading light. Isaiah and Isaac, their twin sons, practiced their ring-bearer duties nearby, giggling as they balanced velvet pillows, their new golden retriever Max trotting faithfully beside them. The air buzzed with joy, Amara's Atlanta relatives mingling with Vivian Caldwell's reformed social circle, but a shadow lingered. Nathan Pierce's latest move threatened to disrupt this moment of unity. Ethan's heart swelled as he watched Amara approach, her smile a beacon that had guided him through the chaos of the past weeks. The move to Seattle, sparked by Amara's teaching job and Ethan's decision to shift his company's focus, had been a fresh start. Nathan's defeat in the boardroom, exposed by Clara Pierce's testimony, had secured the Brooklyn deal and Ethan's leadership. Yet, 2 days before the wedding, Rachel Stein, Ethan's attorney, had called with grim news. Nathan had filed an emergency injunction, claiming Ethan's share transfer to a new sustainable venture was fraudulent, demanding a new paternity test for the twins. As the minister began, Ethan pushed the threat aside, focusing on Amara. In tiny vests, the twins stood proudly, Max wagging his tail. Sitting in the front row, Vivian dabbed her eyes, her transformation complete after months of earning Amara's trust. Now running Nathan's former shares, Clara Pierce sat beside her, a symbol of reconciliation. "Dearly beloved," the minister intoned, pausing as Isaiah whispered, "That's Mommy and Daddy." The guests chuckled, the sound easing the tension. Ethan squeezed Amara's hand, his voice steady as he began his vows. "Amara, I lost you once because I chased the wrong things. You and our boys are my world now. I promise to choose you daily, to build a life where love comes first." Amara's eyes glistened, her voice clear despite the emotion. "Ethan, you found us when we needed you. You showed our sons what a father is and what love means. I promise to stand with you, to face every storm together." She glanced at the twins, who beamed, clutching their pillows. Isaiah tugged Ethan's sleeve. "We have promises too," he said, his voice earnest. "I promise to help Isaac with his drawings, and I promise to share my plans," Isaac added, making the guests laugh most days. The minister smiled. "With these promises, I pronounce you husband and wife." Ethan kissed Amara, the twins cheering as Max barked, his tail a blur. The crowd erupted in applause, the sunset painting the sky in gold and pink. At the reception, tables lined the beach, laden with Amara's favorite peach cobbler and Ethan's preferred seafood. The twins danced with their Atlanta cousins, their laughter mingling with the waves. Vivian approached, her silk dress catching the lantern light. "I've called Judge Williams," she said quietly. "Nathan's injunction is baseless. His fraud claim lacks evidence. It's being dismissed tomorrow." Ethan nodded, relieved. "Thank you, Vivian, for everything." Amara joined them, her hand in Ethan's. "Is it over?" she asked, her voice cautious. Before Ethan could answer, Clara approached, her expression soft but firm. "Nathan's done," she said. "I spoke to him last night. He's stepping back, moving to Chicago. I think he's starting to see what he's lost." Her reconciliation with Nathan, spurred by Vivian's intervention, had softened her resolve. Isaiah ran up, his vest askew. "Daddy, can Max be in our family picture?" "Of course, buddy," Ethan said, lifting him onto his shoulders. Isaac followed, clutching a seashell. "Mommy, we're a team, right?" "Always," Amara said, kissing his forehead. She turned to Ethan, her eyes searching. "You gave up so much to be here." Ethan shook his head, pulling her close. "I gained everything. You, the boys, this life." He reached into his pocket, revealing a small ring box. "We're already married, but this is for our new beginning." He slipped a simple band beside her wedding ring, engraved with their initials and the twins. Amara's breath caught. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes to everything." The twins squealed, piling into their parents' arms, Max jumping in, his fur sandy. Vivian smiled, snapping a photo, while Clara laughed, her healing mirrored in the moment. The music swelled, and the family danced under the stars, their Atlanta and Hamptons worlds blending. As the night wound down, Ethan and Amara stood by the water, the twins chasing Max along the shore. "I thought I was running from your world," Amara said softly, "but maybe I was running toward this." "No more running," Ethan promised, kissing her. The injunction was dead, Nathan's threat gone, but their true victory was this moment. Their family, whole and unbreakable, ready for whatever came next. The Seattle shoreline sparkled under a crisp autumn sky, the waves lapping gently against the pebbled beach outside Ethan and Amara Caldwell's new home. Inside, the living room buzzed with the twins, Isaiah and Isaac, sprawled on a rug, their crayons dancing across paper as they drew airplanes and skyscrapers. Their golden retriever, Max, lounged nearby, his tail thumping lazily, Amara sat at an easel, sketching a vibrant mural for her art school's upcoming exhibit. At the same time, Ethan reviewed plans for his new sustainable development venture, a laptop balanced on his knees. The chaos of New York, Nathan Pierce's schemes, the media frenzy, Vivian's prejudice, felt like a distant storm, but its lessons had forged this moment of peace. Isaiah looked up, his blue eyes bright. "Daddy, can we fly a kite later?" he asked, holding a drawing of a plane soaring over a green hill. Ethan smiled, closing his laptop. "You bet, buddy. We'll make it loop like your plane." He ruffled Isaiah's curls, marveling at how quickly his sons had become his world. Isaac, ever bold, added, "I want to build a kite like your buildings, Daddy. Tall and strong." His sketch showed a towering structure, a stick-figure family atop it, including Max. Amara laughed, setting down her brush. "You two are going to keep us busy," she said, her voice warm. Her new job running the children's art program at a Seattle school had ignited her passion, and the twins thrived in their new school, their confidence growing each day. Vivian entered from the kitchen, carrying a tray of cookies, her silk blouse swapped for a cozy sweater. Her transformation from aloof matriarch to doting grandmother was complete, earned through months of small acts. Reading to the twins, hosting Amara's Atlanta relatives, and embracing their blended family. She said we'd need fuel for kite flying, setting the tray down. Isaiah grabbed a cookie, grinning, while Isaac offered Max a crumb, giggling as the dog licked his hand. "Thank you, Vivian," Amara said, her tone genuine. The barbecue in the Hamptons had been a turning point, blending their worlds, and Vivian's efforts had built a bridge of trust. "The boys love your cookies." Vivian's eyes softened. "I'm learning their favorites," she said, then glanced at Ethan. "Any word from Clara?" Ethan nodded, his expression thoughtful. Clara Pierce, now managing her brother Nathan's former shares in Caldwell Enterprises, had sent a message that morning. Humbled by his defeat and Clara's revelations, Nathan had written a letter of apology, seeking to mend ties with his estranged sister. "He's in Chicago," Ethan said. "Clara says he's stepping back from business and trying to rebuild his life. He's finally seeing what he lost." Amara's jaw tightened briefly, the memory of Nathan's attacks, his DNA test demands, his injunction, still sharp. "He put the boys through hell," she said quietly, "but I'm glad Clara's free of him." The twins, sensing the shift, looked up. "Is the bad man gone for good?" Isaiah asked, his voice small. Ethan knelt beside him, his hand gentle on his shoulder. "He's gone, buddy. No one's hurting our family. I promised, remember?" Isaac nodded, his crayon pausing. "We're a team like superheroes." "Exactly," Amara said, pulling him into a hug. "And superheroes stick together." The moment was interrupted by a knock at the door. Amara's sister, Lena, arrived, her arms full of photo albums for the family reunion Vivian was hosting that weekend. "The cousins are coming tomorrow," Lena said, grinning. "These boys better be ready for some serious hide-and-seek." Isaiah and Isaac cheered, racing to show Lena their drawings. Ethan watched, his heart full. The reunion would blend Amara's Atlanta roots with their new Seattle life, a testament to their resilience. He'd scaled back his company, focusing on sustainable projects that let him work from home, prioritizing kite-flying afternoons over boardroom battles. The family gathered at the twins' school for their first play that evening. The auditorium buzzed with parents, the stage adorned with cardboard trees and stars. Isaiah, dressed as a pilot, soared across the stage, his arms outstretched, while Isaac, a builder, constructed a wobbly tower, his grin infectious. Ethan and Amara sat in the front row, their hands entwined, cheering louder than anyone. Vivian, beside them, snapped photos, her pride evident. After the play, Isaiah ran to Ethan, his pilot hat askew. "Did you see me fly, Daddy? Ethan said you were the best pilot up there," lifting him. Isaac joined, clutching a paper hammer. "My tower didn't fall." Amara kissed his forehead. "It was perfect, just like you." As families mingled over juice and cookies, Lena pulled Amara aside. "You've built something beautiful here," she said. "Those boys are proud of who they are, both sides of them." Amara nodded, eyes on Ethan and the twins, now showing Vivian their props. "We're home," she said softly. "Not just here, but together." Later, the family flew kites on their beach under a starlit sky, Max bounding between them. Ethan held Isaiah's hand, guiding the kite's string, while Amara helped Isaac launch his. Vivian laughed, her kite tangling with the boys, a rare moment of playfulness. The trials, Nathan's vendetta, the media's glare, Vivian's past, had forged this family, their love stronger for it. "Daddy, are we rich now?" Isaac asked, his kite soaring high. Ethan lifted him onto his shoulders, Amara carrying Isaiah. "Buddy, we've been rich all along," he said, squeezing Amara's hand in love. "Like superheroes," Isaiah mumbled, sleepy against Amara's neck. "Exactly," Amara said, her smile radiant. As the kites danced above, their family stood united, their forever home built on love, resilience, and the promise of every tomorrow.